Do you want to win this amazing elite figure of Scott Angle? All you have to do is turn on the little bell next to all the notifications on my channel. Send me a screenshot on my Instagram once you have done it. The raffle will be this Saturday, May 30th. And don't worry about your country, because it can be sent anywhere in the world. Good luck to everyone! I once heard Chris Jericho say that the treatment of the wrestlers was quite unfair, saying that wrestling was fake. Well, the risk is always there. Jericho would say that when someone jumps off a ladder onto an opponent on a table, the opponent doesn't stand up and an extra is put in their position. But the impact of the one who jumps and the one who receives hurts so much that it doesn't deserve to be called fake. Yes, it's true that it's a show, but the risks, injuries, and even sometimes death have always been real. That's why there's a specific group of fighters who have saved their opponents from injuries or death. Because it's a law in wrestling to prioritize the welfare of your opponent. I'll stop talking and introduce you today. Have wrestlers who save their opponents from an injury? Number 10. Undertaker saves Big Show. As always, SmackDown shows are down to the wire. The action is lived to the fullest and not for nothing. Undertaker called a locker room leader. He consistently cares for his colleagues' well-being behind the scenes. And for many years he tried to do justice with what he thought was necessary. In this video we will see how The Undertaker, after being attacked with an angle slam, is left attended in the ring. But seconds later he had an incredible reaction to save Big Show from falling on top a chair after Carangle applied another angle slam to him. It's not surprising because Undertaker is really called a phenomenon. He once said in an interview that he agreed 100% with Bret Hart, as they both always prefer the well-being of their opponents over their own bodies. Number 9. Fandango and Cody Rhodes are two talented superstars who faced each other in the year 2013 on a Raw show. In a match where Cody Rhodes could have been seriously injured. Thanks to a botched moonsault, Cody Rhodes made the grave mistake of climbing up to the corner and not looking to see if his catcher was near or moderately far away. When the head whips against the ring canvas, it creates heat trauma. Although the mistake was Cody Rhodes's. He was lucky that Fandango was so attentive and focused on the fight and managed to catch him before he landed head first on the floor, and thus spared him a terrible injury that perhaps could have cut him many months out of action, or who knows, maybe worse. Over time, Cody Rhodes to this day continues to do the same move. In fact, if we thought that from the third rope was the highest it could be, we were wrong. Number 8. Ryback saves Calisto. CM Punk always blamed Ryback for being a guy who hurt his opponents. He said he didn't know if it was intentional or from his clumsiness. It was the year 2016, and at the pay-per-view event Payback, Ryback was facing Calisto in the pre-show. During the bout, Calisto propelled himself, jumped over the second rope and wanted to fly out of the ring, like some kind of screw, with the intention of landing on top of Ryback, which by the way didn't really happen. It was at that point that Ryback came over as fast as he could and tried to hold Calisto before he fell embedded against the edge of the ring. There's no doubt that action saved Calisto from something far more terrible. Number 7. Seth Rollins. Yes, I know what they must be waiting for. Who did Seth Rollins save? Well, even though this top is about superstars who saved their opponents, I can't leave this fact out. September 8th, 2014. Roman Reigns was facing Randy Orton when Seth Rollins and Corporate Kane ran in to continue punishing Roman Reigns. It was at that point that they ordered that the steel cage should come down now already, thus locking Roman Reigns in so that Randy Orton could continue to punish him. But at that moment, Roman Reigns reacts as the cage was lowering. Seth Rollins can't think of anything better than to enter the cage with a chair, all while the cage was still lowering. It was at this point that Seth Rollins realized that the cage had real steel fangs that are normally used to fit the cage to the ring. Fortunately, Seth Rollins was able to get out of this safely, as he realized in time. But literally, he was nanoseconds away from that steel spike going through his back. Number 6. Chris Jericho saves Jeff Hardy. Chris Jericho is a true wrestling machine with many years of experience under his belt. Chris Jericho, he has always had that instinct to improvise, whether it be on the mic, in the ring, or to save an opponent. This last thing was what we saw in an episode of SmackDown. The year 2009, when it was Chris Jericho's turn to face none other than the Enigma, Jeff Hardy. In the fight, things seemed to be going well. A really tired Jeff Hardy and an exhausted Chris Jericho, but always attentive to the ring action. It was at this point that Jeff Hardy quickly went to the corner to do a whisper in the wind. At that moment, Jeff slips on the corner post, and as he was about to fall, Jericho quickly had the mental focus to run towards Jeff and hit him, making it seem like he wasn't coming to save him. But he actually stopped Jeff from hitting the ground and getting annihilated. 5. Curt Hennig saves Chris Jericho. The world lost one of the greatest wrestlers of all time when Curt Hennig passed away at the age of 44. He was a lord and master of the ring and a veteran who had everything coldly calculated. When he had a feud with Chris Jericho on an episode of Nitro Jericho, it was for the Lion's Leap. A move that he already mastered, but for whatever other reason, at that time it didn't work. And he practically jumped with his neck back and his head was aimed to smash into the ring floor. At that point, the quick Curt Hennig found nothing better than to save him and raise both knees so that before touching the ground, his head and back would straighten up. Chris Jericho said on his podcast that the save he made on Jeff Hardy reminds him a lot of the one Curt Hennig did for him. Number 4. AJ Styles saves James Ellsworth. The Style Clash is one of the roughest finishes in the history of wrestling. But it always has to be well received by the opponent as they need to be focused and in the correct position. The head should always be in an erect position. The fighters, who usually hide their head, are the ones who end up getting injured. That's what James Ellsworth did when Styles on an episode of SmackDown applied the Style Clash, but it is precisely in these moments that A.J's professionalism and audacity are seen. Styles. As quickly, the Phenomenal extended his knees so that James wouldn't crush his head. And with that huge reaction, he saved James Ellsworth from joining the list of wrestlers injured by the Style Clash. Number 3. Baron Corbin saves Dolph Ziggler. Rumors have said that King Corbin is one of the safest workers in world wrestling entertainment. A safe wrestler means that he is always looking out for his own well-being and that of his opponent, trying to keep everything under control to avoid injuring the opponent. Baron Corbin was facing Dolph Ziggler in the ladder match at the Money in the Bank in 2017, as well as facing 4 more opponents. And in that match, Dolph Ziggler ran at Baron Corbin, perhaps looking to jump from the ring ladder, which would have been very painful for Corbin. Ziggler. He stumbled on the steps, however, Baron Corbin was smart as ever and managed to pin Ziggler and apply a move in mid-air to make. That moment nearly went unnoticed. What we can applaud is Corbin's skill and concentration, who has been fighting for just over 5 years and has really learned a lot. Number 2. Bret Hart saves the British Bulldog at SummerSlam of 1992. A real battle was fought at Wembley Stadium. Bret Hart has said in countless interviews that that fight against the British Bulldog has been one of the best of his entire career. I know what many must be thinking right now. When did Bret Hart save the British Bulldog? Well, this story goes much further than the ring. This fight would make the British Bulldog win and become the Intercontinental Champion for the first and only time. What none of the 80,000 people in that stadium knew was that the British Bulldog was not in condition to fight that night. And he trusted that Bret Hart would carry the entire fight. The reason for this? Because the day before, the British Bulldog had been up all night consuming crack. Bret Hart has said that after the first 5 minutes of the fight, the British Bulldog was already out of breath and had a hard time breathing. This was recounted in his book Memories of the Hitman. He also mentioned that the British Bulldog was very stiff and that until the day of his death he always thanked him for that incredible professionalism. Number 1. Sting saves Jeff Hardy. A case very similar to that of the British Bulldog against Wes Hart, but much more known, was the case of Sting and Jeff Hardy. The year was 2011, and at the Pay for Green Total non-stop action Victory Road event, Jeff Hardy vs Sting was facing off. Jeff appeared on his way to the ring not in condition to perform the fight. He was totally drugged and still he was allowed to come out and fight. During the fight, the dominance was always Sting's, who was practically the one moving Jeff. Before Jeff got hurt from that fight, Sting found nothing better than to finish him off quickly and count him out, doing Jeff a clear favor, who could have perhaps come out much more damaged, and who knows if he might have even died in the ring from an overdose. If you liked the video, remember to give it a tremendous like and also subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to turn on the little bell so you know every time I upload a new video.